Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 76 of Halfway Through the Heat, the world's most important Trans-Pacific wrestling podcast. It's also the world's only Trans-Pacific wrestling podcast. That doesn't change the fact that it's the best. This week, we're going to talk a lot about the Royal Rumble, the fallout from the Rumble, the NXT TakeOver fallout as well. That's pretty much, we're going to devote this to the Royal Rumble. Think of this as the post-Rumble come-down show. But before we get into the Rumble, before we dissect all the angles, before we tell you what's going to happen on the road to WrestleMania, we're going to do what we always do. We are going to stand head and shoulders above the sea of negativity out there, and we are going to say something positive about Raw. So what was positive about Raw this week?
Samoa Joe was there.
Yes.
That was good. It makes me wonder if that it's going to be Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania then.
My guess is it's still going to be Rollins and Triple H and maybe Samoa Joe at Roadblock.
Yeah, well, I thought about that, but you know how they like to drag out these feuds forever.
It's true, but I think they're Triple H still has big matches left in it. I think they're going to do Triple H and Seth Rollins and then figure something else out for Joe. I could be wrong, but that seems to me to be the direction they're heading in. I like the way he debuted a lot. People were complaining that he wasn't in the Rumble, but I think this is a much more high-profile debut for him. Like, he comes out and beats the hell out of Seth Rollins on Raw. And I like the promo that Triple H gave about how he was like, he has to be the corporate guy, but he still really wants to be the dirtbag, and so now he's got someone else to do his dirty work for him. To me, this is the most interested I've been in Seth Rollins since he came back from the injury. So I was super excited that Samoa Joe came out and is going to be in a feud with old CrossFit Jesus there.
Oh, CrossFit Jesus.
No CrossFit Jesus. And then probably I might guess Triple H and Seth Rollins at Mania. I don't think Triple H wants to sit out WrestleMania. I think he's a one match a year kind of guy. But you never know. And I'm sure they'll have something for Joe at WrestleMania. Maybe he'll be on the 12-hour pre-show extravaganza. Who knows? Yeah, but for me, that was the positive thing too about Raw. I mean, it was an all right show overall. But I just loved seeing Joe come out, and I like the promo that Triple H gave too. I guess that. So if yours is Joe, mine will be the Triple H promo that preceded his coming out. I thought that was really good. It was the first good Triple H promo in a while, in the sense that it was sort of interesting. He doesn't deliver things badly, but normally it's just kind of okay, right, the authority, blah blah blah. But this one was sort of character insight, and it's kind of like a new way of thinking about him. Oh, all right, this is cool. How they're openly now acknowledging his role in NXT as the creator, and playing off that. I thought that worked really well.
It was a pretty good setup. I liked that. That was a good segment.
It would have been nice if it had happened before 11 p.m., but whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And the rest of the show, you get 3 matches and stuff, and it was fine. It was what it was. There were a couple decent moments. I like that Reigns came out and cost Braun Strowman the Universal title.
Makes sense. That actually makes sense too. It wasn't just out of nowhere, because it was the same thing that happened to Roman Reigns the night before, in reverse.
What do you think about a Reigns Strowman feud?
That'll be good, I think. I don't think it's gonna be spectacular wrestling matches, but I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Reigns in this, because it's one of the few times where he's the smaller dude.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be there. Always the Reigns thing is oh, look at his explosive strength or whatever. He's not gonna be able to really, pull that off against Braun Strowman. So
yeah, that's true. He's not going to muscle Strowman around, and so he'll have to. And Reigns is a good wrestler, and this will be we have seen a good Roman Reigns match with Big Show.
It's true. I will say that Roman Reigns has had some good matches with people who probably shouldn't have good matches. So, it says something about his wrestling ability.
Yeah,
And
and obviously Strowman is a lot. There's a lot more to Strowman than there is to Big Show at this point. So like, I don't think it'll be like Cena Styles, but I agree. I think there'll be interesting matches because it'll be sort of Roman Reigns will have to figure out like a different way to beat someone. Like he just can't muscle him up.
yeah, I'm interested in that. I think it's an all right spot, and it's also a situation where like, um, people could probably cheer for Roman Reigns.
Yes.
I mean, it's better than like the way they used him in the Rumble was actually kind of genius.
I agree.
But like, they got to do something. They can't use him that way all the time. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, they actually gotta make people like him or hate him for real, and have his
Yeah, or just
character be like an asshole. You can't like, you can't leave him as he is because he's just gonna flounder forever.
yeah. I mean, they've got a. I don't know what they're waiting for, but uh, this could be a good test to see if you can actually get people to cheer for Roman Reigns because Strowman's such a monster. Um, so that was Raw. We'll jump into the Royal Rumble quickly, but we do have one bit of news this week. There is one bit of news. Our old friend Phillip Brooks at CM Punk, to you and me, he is still insisting on a second UFC fight.
He
He this weekend at the NHL All Star Game in Los Angeles, he told Fox Sports, "quote I am working on it feverishly. I'm throwing names at Dana White, opponents, dates. I don't know if he's waiting for a Chicago show or what the deal is, but if it doesn't happen in the UFC, it will happen somewhere else. I'm dedicated to fighting and training. We'll get there."
I'm I'm still hoping he fights the Green Power Ranger.
Yeah. um, I don't know. What do you think? Is there going to be another CM Punk fight in UFC?
Um, you know, the, they would be silly not to, if only because like the crazy amount of buys they got in the UFC pay-per-view with CM Punk was like, it was like way above their normal buy rate. So like, obviously he's a draw even if he's gonna lose. So like,
Yeah.
they probably should put him on again, even just if it's just to like see him get beat up again.
Yeah, I think he's probably good for a big buy rate for one more fight.
Yeah, I
Because a
mean
lot of people,
he's not gonna lose. I mean, what they're gonna do is like, they can hype up like this is his return. He could totally do it. He can come back and win. And then if he loses again, like obviously no one's gonna care anymore. But
right.
like, they can still hype it up like, oh yeah, he can do it.
Yeah, they did that with Rousey after she lost that first fight. Then her fight coming back was this big hype thing, like she's back, she's going to redeem herself. And then she got her ass kicked, in like animated GIF form again, and that's it. And she said she's done with the UFC, and that makes sense because people will tune in for the second fight, the chance to redeem yourself. People will tune in; they'll buy a pay per view for that. But if you get your ass kicked 2 times in a row, they're done. No one
Yeah.
cares anymore. They just know you're not a good fighter. So I agree, and I think him mentioning Chicago makes sense. That would be the place to do it. Like if you're Dana White, that would be the place to have the second CM Punk fight in a card in Chicago because the crowd would go nuts, and you would sell. I mean, you would sell the building out, and there'd be a big fight atmosphere, even though it almost certainly is going to be another 2-minute chokeout special.
Yeah, I mean, his first UFC fight was, I mean, went exactly as I predicted it would.
Yeah, yeah. And the guy he fought is not exactly like an elite level fighter either.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is like, as someone who is, trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like when I heard that, CM Punk has like this kind of stand-up fighting thing, and then he's like basically a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When this guy came out, he's like a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I knew immediately that CM Punk is just going to get destroyed. There's
Yeah.
no, I mean, it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like that much if you think about it in like terms of karate or something. Like the belts are like, there's so many belts that it's just kind of like, like once you get to black belt, it like kind of doesn't really matter in between. It's not like a huge deal, but like the difference between belts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is huge. Like there's a huge difference because like it takes a long time to go in between belts, and like there's stages in the belts. So like there's only like there's white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. There's only 5 belts. And like when you get into it, there's like blue belt, 1 stripe, 2 stripe, 3 stripe, 4 stripe, and then purple. So like you have like all these levels to go through on in each belt to get up to the next belt. So like it's the kind of thing where if someone is a brown belt, they're like, imagine like they're like 12 levels above someone who's a blue belt. It's
Yeah.
like not even close to the skill level is totally different. And like you know I've like had Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matches with people who were like black belts, and it's like it's like it's something that's totally different than having a match with someone who's like a closer belt than you. It's like you can't even do anything. You don't even you have no option. You just get destroyed. And that's exactly what happened to CM Punk in the exact way I said it would, because I know I know how those fights work with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys. So I mean, if you get 2 guys who are really good if you got like someone who's like a high level wrestler against a high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, there's a you don't it's actually kind of hard to gauge which way it's going to go, especially if the wrestler guy is not just a wrestler, like he
Right.
has learned like how to fight. But like CM Punk is not like an amateur wrestler, he's a professional wrestler. It's a different kind of thing. It's not to say that he's not tough, because obviously if you're a pro wrestler, you're obviously going to be tough because you get the hell beat out of you every night. But
Right.
like
It's just a different skill set.
yeah, it's not a skill set that you learn from professional wrestling. And you know even like thinking about it, the amount of training he had is not enough. It's just not enough. Like even if he's doing it every day, it's still not enough to because if you're a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, you've been doing it for like 8 or 9 years. It's like not it's not there's not like a fast route to get a brown belt. You got to do it a long time.
Yeah, and I mean it just also like I mean Punk was really starting to train seriously like in his mid to late 30s, which is I mean it's for UFC fighters that is you're in the twilight of your career if you're
Yeah.
still fighting at all. And it just the odds were never there in his favor. But I think you're right. I think the money is going to be too much for Dana White, especially now that he's lost Ronda Rousey as an attraction, like a mainstream attraction. And he's still got Conor McGregor, but like there aren't many UFC fighters who have any kind of name recognition outside the world of UFC fans or MMA fans. Um, so yeah, I would not be surprised if we see a second CM Punk fight. I would be surprised if we see a third.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect a third, but a second. I can expect a second beating of CM Punk by basically anybody who is like been a fighter for any amount of time.
So that's the news. Let's jump into our full-on Royal Rumble NXT Takeover, and I guess we can mention Evolve.
You can mention
Uh,
Evolve. I didn't watch Evolve.
a lot went on. Our post-mortem. Let's talk about the Rumble. I want to start by saying I was surprised at how negative the reaction was to the Royal Rumble, the show on Twitter, and then kind of like among wrestling people the day after. Like, I thought it was a really solid. First of all, I thought the matches like the undercard were all really good. I mean, the only
Yeah,
one that was kind of a dud was Neville and Rich Swann. That wasn't a bad match. It was just a little slower than it should have been. But like, there were really good matches on that show. And normally the Royal Rumble matches are like afterthoughts.
yeah. I think the matches on the in the Rumble were for the most part really good. That, but like I can understand the negative reaction if only because like when you watch the Royal Rumble, you watch you go into it expecting the Rumble to be like the thing that's supposed to be awesome, and the Rumble was not awesome.
See, I disagree. This is where it's good. This is going to turn a crossfire. I don't think it was awesome, but I thought it was fine.
No, like
My,
no,
I
that's
have,
what I'm saying. Like I don't think it was bad. I didn't think it was a bad show. I just thought like the Rumble itself was like not as um there were problems. There were problems with the Rumble. I don't mind like what happened with the Rumble. Like I don't really like there wasn't anything like surprising about it, but like the the overall match itself was just kind of like mediocre to me. I didn't feel like there was any like real like amazing hype moments of the Rumble.
no, I think my big complaint about the Rumble was too many entries were like the exact same thing where the guy would come down and he'd get in the ring and then just clean house, like everyone would feed him offense, and then the next entrant would come down and he'd get in and the same, like it was just one after the other. There was no like, I mean, I know it's hard to book the Royal Rumble because it's essentially the same match every year, which is with different people, but it was like, all right, so one guy comes down and cleans house, and then that's great. But then like 5 or 6 in a row, just one after the other, and after a while, you're like, okay, I get it. Um, there wasn't much to differentiate it. That was my big complaint. I think people complain there weren't any surprises other than like Mark Henry and Ty Dillinger,
Th-
but
those weren't really surprises.
no, we had predicted on last week's show we had predicted Ty Dillinger, and I think we
And
predicted Mark Henry
we
too.
horrifyingly predicted Mark
Yeah,
Henry.
that's right. Yeah, we were like, oh god, I bet Mark Henry. Yeah, it was Mark Henry. Um, but I think this year, instead of going for surprises, they were like, we're going to load it with your favorite stars, like Goldberg and The Undertaker.
And Apollo Crews.
um, but yeah, like I think a lot of the attraction was, oh, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, and The Undertaker are going to be in the
Well,
Royal
like
Rumble this
yeah,
year.
it was like booked that way too. Like the entire like this was like the weakest part. The weakest part of it was that it was booked entirely around those three guys coming out late. So like it was
Yep.
just like everything else was just an afterthought. So like the entire like first hour of it is just kind of like, oh well, whatever, who cares? And like there the thing with that is like you could I can hear somebody saying like, well, that's basically every Rumble. Nobody cares what happens during the first hour of the Rumble. Everybody only cares about who wins, but not really, because lots of stuff can happen in the Rumble that's exciting and like build stories and get people like get things happening, but nothing really did happen in the Rumble like that in the first hour because like they could have had stuff like that, but there was nothing big besides like stuff that's already happening. So and like even then I'm thinking like there was like the slight turn on Shame Sheamus and Cesaro, but like they've been doing that forever. And then like that was still towards the end anyway when like all those guys got eliminated all at once.
Yeah, that could. I mean, that's a good point. I like the Rumble would be a good time to like start to set the stage for the breakup of the New Day, for example.
Yeah, well, like think of it this way. Um, can you remember anything significant about the first like hour of the Rumble?
No, I remember a couple good moments. Like I thought Jack Gallagher's elimination was good, and there are a couple good moments. Ty Dillinger, but
Yeah,
yeah,
well, like there are moments, there's good moments, but like, is there anything significant that happened that you think like, oh, that's going to be a story?
no, no. The
But,
closest thing is the Sheamus and Cesaro
but yeah, and that
bust
was
up.
that was
That,
like way at the end.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that like Cesaro, like Sheamus was like number what 23 or something, and like they were
Or-
in there towards the end when like there was like a bunch of people in the ring and they just eliminated them like because they needed to make room for the Undertaker to be in there.
I've already forgotten the order in which, but I do remember that Orton was number 23 because number 23 wins.
Uh,
Um, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot in terms of like stories. I mean, I thought it was fine. I had the problem I had was with those similar entrances, and then like you said, everything is sort of like top heavy, where we're all just waiting for the big names to come out.
yeah, it was, but it was stupid top heavy in like an obvious way where they basically just booked the Rumble to be noise before Goldberg and the Undertaker and Brock Lesnar came out.
Yeah, and then setting up for the WrestleMania thing once again. Lesnar came out and like wreaked havoc, and then Goldberg came out and uh, like easily eliminated Lesnar. So
Yeah,
they're like, and I
well,
was surprised because like I thought they were going to try to do something different than they had done in Survivor Series.
but no,
Um,
they didn't.
no, they didn't. They didn't. They just the exact same thing, and then Goldberg got eliminated. There was something that did happen though, wasn't there? Maybe not. Maybe there were no.
Was
But
there?
yeah,
I mean, this is like a problem of the booking is that you can't even remember. You can't
I
remember
know.
anything. There's nothing to remember. It's not memorable because like it wasn't a bad match at all. Like there was nothing that was like decidedly sucky about it. You know what I mean? There wasn't anything where I'm just like, well, this is garbage. But like,
Right.
um, there are. It's so like for the first like hour of it, it's like a blank spot for the most part. Um, and like beyond like the Kofi Kingston's miraculous not eliminated moments, which is like always a delight. Um, there's not there's like so very little that actually happened. Like um, Braun Strowman came out and eliminated a bunch of people in the beginning, and then got eliminated by somebody I don't even remember. And then like
Oh, Baron Corbin. I like that elimination actually because normally when you have the big guy, there's always like it's four guys trying to get him over and blah blah blah. And this it was just like Corbin just knocked him the fuck out of the ring with a forearm, and I like that. I like how they kind of set Corbin up to be a badass, which is fine with me. So I like that. But yeah, otherwise it was kind of I don't know. It was nothing really stood out again except for the Jack Gallagher elimination because he was holding his umbrella like Mary Poppins. Um, and then the Goldberg Lesnar thing set us up. So here's my question to you: what storyline? So obviously the Goldberg Lesnar coming out of the Rumble, that's the storyline for Mania. The winner is the obvious story. I will get into this, but I don't think Orton and Cena are going to wrestle at WrestleMania. I think they're going to call an audible. But like, what's the Undertaker story coming out of the Royal Rumble? Like, why was he there?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like I don't know what they're gonna do with that. If only because like when he came out, he had like a stare down with Oldberg and
Yep.
the Eldertaker versus Oldberg. I thought like, are they gonna do that? Because Jesus. Um, but I don't.
And
I don't. But after the match, you think like, well, okay, they're not gonna do Undertaker versus Goldberg because they still haven't done anything with this Lesnar thing. So
right. And Reigns eliminated Undertaker, and of course, got booed. And so then people were like, "Oh, it's going to be Reigns and Undertaker at Mania," which sounds terrible, but it's looking more like it's going to be Reigns and Strowman at Mania, which actually could be good.
yeah, I would imagine that. I'm more for that than anything because I'd rather see Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. There's at least a chance that'll be a good match.
Yeah, it'll be like something like you said, it'll be interesting to see how it works, as opposed to you know how the match is going to work with the Undertaker. It's going to suck. Like,
Yeah, the,
it's just how it's going
um,
to.
that's the thing. It's just like, what do you do with what would you do with Roman Reigns versus the Undertaker? But like you said, where does this leave the Undertaker for for WrestleMania? There's no story.
Yeah, I was really perplexed, and I will. I mean, again, like, well, we're not Undertaker fans, but like I don't hate the guy or anything. Like I don't have anything against him, so I don't want to come across like the like all we do is talk trash on the Undertaker. But he looked bad. Like
Yeah, like I
he
wasn't.
looked 15 20 pounds overweight.
Yeah, you said that, and like I hadn't noticed, but then you said like, oh, he's looking a little out of shape, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. He does kind of look fat. And then like, and I thought like, well, okay, we see the Undertaker a bunch, so we kind of know that if he's like looking out of shape. But like other people had mentioned it to me afterwards too, where like they were saying, yeah, the Undertaker came out with a beer gut. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and like I mean Goldberg is old and everything, but like Goldberg looks great.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Goldberg.
Like, if
I mean he's obviously done a lot of work to get in great shape for this, and Goldberg is
if you
close to
showed him from
Undertaker's
if
age.
you showed him from the neck down, you wouldn't be able to guess his actual age.
No, absolutely not. Whereas the Undertaker, and like I can't, he's 51 years old, like, and he's a very big guy. I mean, he's a very tall man who weighs a lot, even when he's in shape. So it's fine that like you're starting to run down when you're 51 and you've had all this wear and tear on your body. Like he looks great by the standards of any 51-year-old man, just about. But like as a professional wrestler, are you going to put that guy in a big match at WrestleMania?
Yeah, geez, I really don't know what they're gonna do with him. And the Royal Rumble did not give me any idea of the direction they're gonna bring the Undertaker. Hopefully, the direction is retirement.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. Like I feel like I came away from the Rumble. We'd all expected that this was just going to set up Lesnar and Goldberg at Mania, and that's what I expect will happen. And whoever wins the Rumble will face probably Cena, and we were right about that. I don't think that's going to happen, but at least that's the natural story. But coming away from the Rumble, I have no idea what they're going to do with the Undertaker, and it worries me because they're going to do something with him, and it's not going to be it's not going to be what we want, which is Undertaker shows up backstage and high fives everybody and wishes them all a good show at WrestleMania. He's going to do something, and he's just not like there's nothing for him to do, and I guess Kane maybe, I don't know. I didn't want to think about it, but yeah. So coming away from that the Rumble, I'm more confused about the Undertaker's path.
Yeah, I mean, another downside to the Rumble was that, I mean, as we mentioned, there were like zero surprise entrants.
Yeah, I think they deliberately did that this year because they were like loading it with stars, but I was bummed out. I like surprise entrances.
Yeah, like that's one of the main things about the Rumble that makes it fun is that when you have like some surprise entrances you can make, like even if they're stupid ones, even if it's like the Rock and Roll Express comes down and just gets eliminated immediately, that's still something awesome. People would be talking about that forever.
Yeah, there are a couple moments that really could have used like a comedy early elimination.
Yeah, I mean,
You
like
know?
Sergeant Slaughter works for you guys.
Yeah, put Sergeant Slaughter in there.
Like,
Michael Hayes is right there. It's Texas. Put Michael Hayes in.
yeah, that would have been good too. Like, Michael Hayes would have got a huge pop.
He would have gotten his pop. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if he just came out to like Bad Street USA or whatever, just like that song alone would have got a huge pop, and then like he would have come out and just got eliminated or whatever, and that would have been absolutely fine. Like nobody would have complained if Michael Hayes came out and got eliminated immediately.
No, right. Absolutely not. Everyone would have had fun and like, I mean, it's not like you're taking a spot away from. There's you're already taking spots away from guys on the roster by giving them to Goldberg and the Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, who are part timers or retirees. So, give it to somebody who's going to be kind of fun and that people will talk about and kind of buzz about. Like, oh my God, I can't believe Michael Hayes came out to his old music and it was, Texas. Or Terry Funk. Or, I mean, you're in the San Antonio territory. Just like have Terry Funk come in for a night.
Yeah, it's
Um,
Terry Funk. I mean, and like Terry Funk, like despite being like 190 years old, would have came out and done a moonsault and smashed somebody in the head and eliminated 8 people. He would have been
right, yeah,
awesome.
Terry Funk could have credibly like eliminated a guy. Terry Funk could have like at least bumped, like and uh, well, I mean, I was bummed that there were not, surprise entrances.
Yeah, well,
Um,
like I don't like I don't like the idea that they left it open like these are going to be surprise entrances, and then they just use people who are normally around anyway. Like you could have just
Right, or just haven't been on TV in a while. Like Mark Henry. Oh, it's a surprise, Mark Henry. Well, Mark Henry's still on the roster. Like he's not that big a surprise.
yeah, he's not a
We predicted
surprise.
it.
But like someone like Apollo Crews is not a surprise. He's on the roster still. He's still
Right.
around. Like he's just somebody you should
Yeah.
have like. It's like as much a surprise that Mojo Rawley showed up that than Apollo Crews showed up. They're like the same. They're at the same position.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
like he could have just said Apollo Crews is going to be there. Here's his number. It wouldn't have really mattered because no one cares. He has no chance of winning. And like when he comes out as a surprise, it's like nothing against Apollo Crews as a wrestler, but like when he comes out as a surprise, you're just like, well, that sucks.
Yes. 100%.
No,
And
nobody is in like nobody would have been nobody would be disappointed if Apollo Crews is in the Rumble, but announced. But if you leave him as a surprise, it's not a surprise. It's just a disappointment.
yep.
And that's what happened with almost every person that was a surprise. And like Ty Dillinger is a surprise, I guess. It's
Yeah,
not
he
like
got a nice.
it's not a
That was a nice.
huge one though. That's the
It
thing.
wasn't a huge surprise, but it was nice to see him.
Yeah, so I mean but like that one isn't a disappointment. At least it's something where you're just like, oh, there's Ty Dillinger. That's cool. I guess he's coming up. That's news. But like when Apollo Crews comes out, you're just like, well, fuck, that's disappointing.
Yeah. Um,
And like again, that's nothing against Apollo Crews as a wrestler. I think he's a good wrestler. I mean, he's bland, but like that's his character is bland. Um,
he's he's starting a feud with Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown, and it's like the first time I've cared about Apollo Crews at all. That's mostly because Ziggler is such a dick, and I want to see him get beat up. But that's kind of how you make a baby face over with the crowd, right? You have him wrestle somebody who it's really easy to hate.
yeah.
Um,
So I mean, that's classic wrestling booking.
yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I agree. And also, I will say people were complaining that Samoa Joe didn't come out, and we had said, oh, probably made Samoa Joe, but like honestly, the way they brought him out on Raw, I like that better. He would have got lost in the shuffle in the Royal Rumble, making his debut, so it's fine with me that he didn't come out. And people are that is a weird complaint to me, um, especially because we saw on Monday night that they did have a good plan for him. Like if they didn't do anything with Samoa Joe and he was still in NXT, like okay, I could see a complaint. But like they have a plan for him. He's wrestling Seth Rollins. He's near the top of the card. It's fine. It's fine that he did not make his debut at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. I didn't think that was bad. I was okay not having Samoa Joe in the Rumble just because like he's still coming. It's not a big deal. But
Yeah,
like and like the other people I wanted to I wanted Shinsuke Nakamura to come up, but like obviously wasn't going to after what happened on the NXT show.
right. Um, so as for the other matches on the card, in the Rumble, there were some. We did pretty well on our predictions. I think we only got one wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
we only got one wrong.
on the undercard, which is good for us. But I have to say the Cena Styles match was so good. I mean, it was such a good match.
That was a really good match. It actually happened during my lunch break at work, so I was watching it. So good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, those guys have not had. It's not even saying they haven't had a bad match. They haven't had a less than like 4.5 star match. Like I want to see them wrestle again and again. I was super excited for the match, and as we said last week, I didn't care that Cena won. Didn't bother me at all. Like it's a
Yeah,
great
that's the
match.
thing. Like having Cena as a champion, like I know some people are every time Cena wins a championship are just gonna be pissed, but like
Yep.
he is a good wrestler. I can't.
I,
Okay. Like um, is there anybody who can credibly say that Cena Styles match from the Royal Rumble wasn't the best match of the night?
no,
Like,
I mean
is there even a contender as like a match of the night besides that one?
no,
Yeah,
no,
that's the
and
thing.
that's not
So
saying
like,
the
even
match
if you
was bad.
hate Cena, you have to admit that like, he took part in the best match of the night, and he he is a good wrestler, so he can have the title.
Yeah, I mean, I posted on the blog a picture of Cena and Samoa Joe because they were in that UPW Federation when they were just starting out in California. It's like 17 years ago. And a picture of like super young Cena and super young Samoa Joe. And somebody like reblogged it was like, "Fuck John Cena, he can't wrestle. He doesn't deserve to be in the same ring as Samoa Joe." And it's like, at this point, you're just not like you're not willing to accept evidence that he's a good wrestler. Like you've just decided, I don't like John Cena, and he has this insane 30-minute match with AJ Styles where he's doing like code reds and like AAs off the top rope and all this shit and like really good psychology and like really well placed match. Like you're just saying, no, I'm not even going to acknowledge any of that. I'm going to pretend in my mind that John Cena is the wrestler I imagine who is different than the actual John Cena. Like,
Yeah, like I I I honestly don't understand the people who hate John Cena because they think he's a bad wrestler. Like I can understand. There's lots of reasons you can hate Cena. Like, okay, you think John Cena is a terrible character. I think John Cena's character is a terrible character. Um, you don't like that he's like always winning. You don't like that he is the kind of a goofy superhero or whatever. You don't,
right.
like I can understand someone not liking that and just being like, I don't like John Cena because of all these other reasons. But like, if you're honestly saying and you believe that you don't like John Cena because he's a bad wrestler, you just don't watch wrestling. You should stop because like you obviously are missing something about what wrestling is. Because John Cena is in by no metric a bad wrestler. Like I can't think of any way you could justify saying he's a bad wrestler. Um, it's not even like the thing where like he has been coasting on the same move set for like 20 years or something. Like he does new things all the time. He's always trying to add in new moves. He doesn't even have to. He doesn't have to add a code red into his repertoire, but he did. He doesn't have to do that springboard stunner, but he did. He started doing it out of nowhere. It's the kind of thing where like he doesn't have to do that, but he does. Speaking of this, the title win is his tie for the most amount of titles with Ric Flair. Ric Flair basically had the same match for 20 years.
Yes.
Like Ric Flair wasn't exactly the innovator of wrestling moves. There's it's not like everybody's doing the Flair bomb today or the the Flairensteiner or whatever. There's nothing like that. The Frankensteiner is called the Frankensteiner for a reason because the Steiner brothers like made that shit.
Right. Yeah, no, and thank you for pointing that out. Like, I love Ric Flair. I think Ric Flair has a really good argument to be the best or the greatest wrestler of all time. But you're right. You go back and watch Ric Flair matches. After a certain point, when you've seen one Ric Flair match, you've seen them all. Unless he was wrestling like Steamboat or somebody who really forced him to change. And they were good matches. Like, he knew how to have a great match with anyone. But especially by like the early 90s, mid 90s, there was never a Ric Flair match where you were like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Whereas Cena does that in these big matches. Cena will pull something out and you're like, oh my God, where did that come from?
Yeah, that's exactly. So like, as I said, there's plenty of reasons for people just to not like John Cena as a character. Fine, great. Like I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Cena character. I think it's kind of corny, but like it's the kind of thing it's the kind of thing that appeals to little kids, and that's fine. Like and people I think would like it. I think there are people who like it. Obviously, there's people who like it, but like it still doesn't like change the fact that he's one of the best wrestlers in the WWE and consistently has good matches with anybody too. It's not like he has consistently good matches with like just people who always have good matches. Like AJ Styles always has good matches, but
right.
like, if the open challenge for the U.S. title showed us anything,
right.
John Cena could have had good matches like every night with anybody who came out.
Yeah, if you watch that AJ Styles John Cena match and nothing about it appealed to you, you should stop watching wrestling because for whatever reason it's just not connecting. Like there was something in that match for everyone who's a wrestling fan, and like it was just a great match with a good story behind it. You know, Cena's confidence was rattled because Styles had beat him 3 times in a row, and um, I just loved it. I mean, I was so excited for the match, and it really paid off. Like I could have turned the TV off at that point and would have said fine, but um,
Yeah, and like
uh,
another thing, like for anyone who is like upset about the ending, like Cena wins the title again. Well, like AJ Styles has had the title for a while. It's not like he's had it for a month.
no,
And he's had like some pretty solid clean wins over John Cena also. It's not like
yep,
he won the title by skullduggery. It was like clean pin win the title. And he did it more than once in a row. It's not like they
yep.
went back and forth like getting their wins back. It was like AJ Styles was like dominating John Cena and like finally John Cena won one. It's not exactly like a standard John Cena story. It's more like pretty atypical in the sense that like he lost a bunch and then finally won one after months.
Yes, and that's what I liked about it. I thought I mean, they really took a chance on doing something different with Cena, and it paid off. I mean, like you can go back and watch those. You can get all of his matches with AJ Styles, put it on one DVD, and just go back and watch it over and over. I mean, it was just it's been such a great rivalry, and I hope they renew it at some point. But and the other thing too, people complaining like, oh, it's not, Ric Flair should never have his record broken, blah 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 blah. Blah. I mean, it's for as Mike Mooneyham was saying on Twitter, he's like, the real number isn't even 16. Like Flair actually won more than that. Like that's just the number they sell it. It's like it's bullshit. It's wrestling title reigns. like,
Yeah.
like think about that.
The real number for Flair is like somewhere in the 20s because like there was
Yeah,
plenty of times where he like lost the title for one day and got it back and they just didn't
like,
count it.
yeah. The NWA wouldn't recognize like his title loss in the Dominican Republic for a month or like just it's like. And think about too, like when Ric Flair was winning a lot of those titles in the 80s, the reason he won them is because Jim Crockett Promotions was the most powerful promoter in the NWA. It's like it's not the whole thing about oh my god, the title rate. It's a like all like statistics in wrestling. It's a bullshit number.
It's a
Just
bullshit
don't
number,
worry.
yeah. It's
Like
just the kind of thing where like in the end, and like believe me, Vince McMahon is gonna give Cena another title reign after this one.
oh yeah, yeah, of course. It's not going to make Ric Flair less famous or less great of a wrestler. Like it doesn't matter. I mean, titles in wrestling, it's so ridiculous to hear people get mad about that. I mean, it's fine if it moves the story along, the title, like if it gives people a reason to wrestle, fine. Or there's like a moment like I'm the longest reigning women's champion or whatever. But don't get hung up on it like it's the home run record in baseball or something. It fundamentally doesn't matter. Um,
Yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, people are ridiculous about that kind of thing, and like, I guess maybe it has some meaning to people, but like, it doesn't have a lot of actual meaning, and it's not really. I don't know.
it's not worth getting upset about the number of wrestling title reigns someone has had. Um, but I guess that's a tribute to the power of storytelling that people take it seriously. Well, I just don't think you should take it that seriously. Um, so I alluded to this, but I don't think. Speaking of Cena, I don't think Blandy Borden is going to wrestle Cena at WrestleMania. I think they're going to figure out a way to get someone else that title shot. I don't know why. I just have a strong feeling this is a swerve. They're setting us up to think it's going to be Orton Cena, and then they're going to pull the cord and it's going to be someone else. I don't think they're going to do something that predictable.
Yeah, I hope that's true. Because Randy Orton versus John Cena for like the 8 millionth time is not exactly a WrestleMania seller.
No. My fear is that when they pull the string, it's going to be the Undertaker. I'm still worried about.
Oh yeah,
Cena.
that seems like a horrible, terrible, no good, very bad idea.
It does. It also seems kind of possible. Like there's a pay-per-view between now and WrestleMania, and they could figure out some way to like Randy Orton gets kayfabe injured or some stupid thing, or the Undertaker demands that he get a number one contender match. Something they've done it before, is what I'm saying. Like they don't always automatically have the Royal Rumble winner.
They'll have Randy Orton put his title shot on the line at Roadblock
Yeah,
or whatever,
Roadblock.
that kind of thing.
Exactly. I'm just nervous about it. And I hope I don't hope it's the Undertaker, but if it's someone who's not Randy Orton, that would be fine too, because Randy Orton and John Cena, I think it would be a fine match and all that. Like we've said, Cena can have a good match against anyone. And Orton's a good wrestler, but we've seen it, like you said, a lot. We've seen this a lot. I mean, we don't need to see it again. Um, speaking of title changes on the junior circuit,
The old NXT takeover. There were a lot of title changes.
there were a lot of title changes, and one of which we were not as surprised by, one of which we were surprised by. We had talked about how it was possible that Nakamura they would take the title off him because they're going to bring him up sooner or later, and there's nothing left for him to do in NXT. And I guess it makes sense to have Bobby Roode do it. I was a little surprised. I wasn't shocked or anything.
Yeah. That one is kind of like, well, they got to get the title off of Nakamura in the sense that like they keep saying they want to bring him up.
Right.
So like
and losing to a guy like Roode is a famous like Roode is not like a terrible upset of Nakamura is what I'm saying. Like it's not like Oni Lorcan or someone. Nothing against Oni Lorcan. It just that would be more of an upset.
Well,
Roode is a high profile.
Yeah, the thing with it is also is that like Nakamura is so popular that he doesn't really need the title, whereas Bobby Roode is like a little bit less on the popularity scale there.
Yeah, and it benefits him to have the title definitely.
So he should. I mean, it makes more sense for him to have the title and keep it for a little while, and for Nakamura to go to the main roster.
And I think also NXT does better when they have because NXT the fundamental dynamic there is the underdog chasing the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like has been their biggest successes and their biggest stories, whether it's DIY and the Revival or whether it was Sami Zayn and his many attempts to get a title shot. And it makes more sense to me that like Bobby Roode is this like flamboyant shit heel, and he's the champion, and now all the good guys are going to be chasing him. I think that's fine. However, we were surprised that DIY, the aforementioned DIY, lost their titles to the Authors of Pain, managed by Mr. Paul Ellering. That was a genuine surprise to me. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I did not expect that either. I had assumed they would keep going with the DIY having their scraping a win and out of someone who is people who have been decidedly bigger than them or dirtier than them or whatever. But they just nope, whatever.
And I thought the match was fine. I thought we had talked about this when we were watching it. We watched it at the same time, and Authors of Pain are kind of like the Road Warriors in the sense like they're not like they're kind of limited in what they could do in the ring, but they're big guys with a lot of presence. They don't have the charisma of the Road Warriors, but it's the same idea. It's like you just have these two giants who throw people around. Okay. And DIY got a good match out of them. I mean, that was a good match. I think it's too soon to make the Authors of Pain the tag team. Like they're both really young guys who are still learning. And I feel like they were they're on an upward trajectory, and it makes a lot of sense to have Paul Ellering manage them, another Road Warriors thing. And I think they're coming along. I just think it's too soon to make them the champions. Like I don't know. I feel like that's going to expose their weaknesses a lot more than if they're just this kind of like menace lurking in the background that occasionally shows up and just destroys a bunch of guys.
Yeah, I think that would be a better use for them anyway. But like, I guess I honestly don't know what they're gonna do with those guys. Like, what are they gonna?
I don't either.
Who are the people that they're gonna have fighting them? Who's gonna fight them?
Right. Is it going to be the Revival and you're going to have heels versus heels? That doesn't make a lot of sense. And I don't know. I feel like they need to be seasoned a little bit more. And they could have been the kind of team that doesn't need the titles. Like the Road Warriors were that way. Road Warriors, they never needed tag titles. They had them occasionally. They didn't need them. And Authors of Pain could have been that way too. Like they're big dudes. I mean, they are impressive looking guys. And they have Paul Ellering in their corner. And they come out all in black, and it's like, okay, business just picked up. These guys are for real. I don't think they need to be the champions. But we'll see. I mean, they had a good match against DIY. The question will be, can they have good matches against people who are not Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, who have carried a lot of lesser talents to good matches over the years?
Yeah, that's a good point. I just, I mean, I don't know that they're gonna have good matches. I mean, realistically though, in NXT, there's not a lot of tag teams at the moment.
No, that's true. And there's one fewer because one of the guys in TM61 got hurt.
Oh, I was gonna say, I guess they're gonna be fighting TM61 next, but apparently not.
Nope.
So, I mean, are they just gonna be fighting DIY again?
Yeah, is it just like DIY, the Revival, and the Authors of Pain, back and forth, back and forth? I don't know. Um, I'm not sure. The one title that didn't change hands at Takeover, though, I have to say, this was absolutely the most fun match of the night for me. I loved the women's match.
Yeah, I
And
liked the women's match except for the finish, which was just really abrupt.
yes, that was weird. It almost made me think someone got injured, but no one did get injured, so they planned that for some reason, and I have no idea what they were thinking. Um, but like, I loved the way that Peyton Royce and Billie Kay like kind of came out like all confident, and then as soon as Asuka and Nikki Cross got in the ring, they were like, "Oh shit." And to me, that like people were like, "Well, why wouldn't they just pin each other?" Because it was a fatal four way. And to me, that sort of explains that like any plan they had immediately went out the door as soon as they got in the ring and realized, "Oh, now I have to wrestle these people." So that to me, that wasn't that big a blip, but I loved it. There were like some real fun moments when Peyton Royce and Billie Kay suplexed Nikki Cross onto the table, and like, I mean, I really liked the chemistry between Nikki Cross and Asuka. Like, I think the two of them could have a fantastic feud. Like, Nikki Cross is sort of this like unhinged, crazy street person, and Asuka is like the buzzsaw. That could be honestly fantastic feud. I loved that match. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it was something different for Asuka, which I think she needed, because they don't, as we've talked about, there hasn't really been anyone since Bayley left who can have like a really good, plausible rivalry with Asuka. So her matches have just been like, it's like one knockout after the other, and after a while, it was like Mike Tyson in his prime. Like after a while, you're like, okay, oh, great, fine, like I don't even care anymore. So this was something different. It was a four way, and she had to use a different strategy, and I thought it worked pretty well. But you're right, the ending was like, it just seemed like it came in the middle of a normal sequence in the match. I don't know why they ended it at that point.
Yeah, man. I just thought like the ending seemed like someone was like, "You guys got to finish this now," so they
Yeah,
ended it. But like it couldn't possibly have been that because after Nikki Cross went through the table, like they just left her there for that end scene where she would be like looking from the table down at Asuka.
right.
So the timing was actually correct. You can tell because they set up the timing for that to be what it was. But like, I don't know why why they timed it that way. If only because like there was no build up to the end. It was just like all of a sudden, oh, that was the end. Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. And people were saying that on Twitter too. So I always wonder that too. If it's just you and I, our reaction, then I'll see on Twitter and people are like, "Wait, is it over?" And I'll be like, "Oh, okay, all right, good. It's not just us. Like other people who saw that thought that was abrupt." Um, but otherwise, I thought it was fine, and I think it sets up a good feud between Asuka and Nikki Cross. At some point, they're going to have Asuka lose, um, and so they can bring her up to the main roster. And we had talked about this, and it would have made sense to have her lose a fatal four way where she doesn't actually get pinned or submits, somebody else gets pinned, and and maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll find another way to do it. I don't know. But anyway, I thought it was good. It was a good weekend, a solid weekend of wrestling. Um, are we forgetting anything? Any highlights
Of the
of
shows.
the club one titles finally, so people can finally calm down and stop screaming about how they're misusing Gallows and Anderson.
Oh yeah, that was all right. I was fine with that, but we had predicted
Yeah,
that.
fine. Yeah, we predicted that. The Evolve shows on Friday and Saturday were good. I have reviews up on the blog. Nothing spectacular. There was a rare fun match on Evolve, and I think it was because Peter Casa almost got hurt, and so they left him off the Saturday show as a precaution, and so they had to scramble. And what was going to be a Peter Casa Darby Allin Evolve special turned into like a 6-man tag that was just like nuts from start to finish, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And I was like, this is a totally different Evolve. This is so much fun. Like Darby Allin's like shinnying up like columns on the floor and like doing the coffin drop on people, and Zack Sabre just running out of the crowd and wailing on dudes. And I was like, this is great. I'm enjoying this. And then immediately they went into a Tracy Williams match. And I was like, oh, okay, this is the Evolve I know. All right, okay. Okay, slow it down. Too much fun. But yeah, so I guess the big development of the Evolve show is that Chris Hero is done with the Indies and will now be Cassius Ohno in NXT. I'm kind of hoping we get at least one Chris Hero Shinsuke Nakamura match before Nakamura goes up to the main roster.
That'd be cool. I'd be happy with that. But seems unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean, I guess I'm not really sure what their plans are with Nakamura. Now that he's lost the title, sooner or later they're going to bring him up. I don't know if they bring him up before or after Mania. I'd love to see him at WrestleMania, but I don't know. I think he should have come up before now, honestly.
In all honesty, I guess he'll probably show up on the main roster after WrestleMania. Well, usually they do that. Like all the new people come in after WrestleMania.
Yeah, so his last NXT thing will be a show in the Takeover before WrestleMania. Takeover Orlando, I guess. Well, but that's time he could wrestle Cassius Ohno, depending on what they do with Cassius Ohno. I mean, it's not like Chris Hero isn't ready to like wrestle. Like they could put him out there now, and it would be fine. So I think that's it. Do you have any wrestling things coming up that you're excited about?
Nothing in particular. I don't know. I wish there was though, but nothing that I can think of.
Yeah, I'm not. I've been taking it easy on buying tickets for live wrestling as an effort to save money, and also my wrestling posse has sort of disintegrated. So it's less fun to go to shows by yourself.
That's true.
But there's a Chikara show in Enfield, Connecticut, about 20 minutes away from me on March 5th, and I have friends who don't like any wrestling except Chikara, so I'll probably go to that.
Yeah, you should do that. Definitely do that, because at least you'll have people to go with you.
Exactly. Go see the Chikara. And, Chikara, I mean, it's not my favorite company in the world, but, I mean, I just like wrestling. I can enjoy anything. Even if it's, nothing spectacular. Or if it's like, Chikara is good, it's just a different kind of wrestling than I like. It's very wacky and kid-friendly and comic booky. But they do very well. I mean, like, and you see good wrestlers and stuff, so it's not like terrible. I honestly think I would enjoy any live wrestling show. Like even the ACW that we watch on FloSlam, and it's always in a food court in a mall somewhere. Like I think if I was at that food court, I would have a good time.
Probably, yeah. It's hard to not enjoy live wrestling.
It really is. Yeah.
It would, like we should gear up and go to an IWE show.
Oh my God, I would love that. I would love to go and cheer on the creature feature John Campbell and Jacob Mercury. I guess. Well, I guess we'd boo Jacob Mercury.
Yeah, but we'd be the IWE's biggest fans. We'd be the super fans.
Yeah, we'd know all the storylines and stuff. I was thinking this would be the biggest test, I think, for me on not IWE, because I know that would be fun. But I was thinking about going to a Tournament of Death, the CZW annual deathmatch tournament. It's in June, the weekend of June 10th this year in Townsend, Delaware. And I was thinking, I don't know why this occurred to me, but I thought maybe I'll go to the deathmatch tournament. I don't know.
How long of a drive is it to get there? Like 6 hours?
Like 6 hours. I would stay the weekend. I would spend the weekend somewhere in Delaware watching deathmatch.
Do you know anybody in Delaware?
I do know someone in Delaware. Justin Steele, horror critic and editor extraordinaire. I don't know where he is in relation to Townsend.
Demand that he come to the wrestling and let you stay at his house.
I will do both those things. I can do both those things. IWA Mid-South has a 2-day deathmatch tournament. The first day is women. And that's so appealing to me. But it's in Indiana. I'm not going to Indiana for a deathmatch tournament.
Oh,
No. And also, I think watching a full day of women in deathmatch wrestling, like I don't want to be sexist or anything. I don't think it is sexist, but that would make me uncomfortable. I don't know if I can handle that. I've watched some IWA deathmatch matches online, and it's like it's too much. It's like I can't handle it. I probably can't handle CCW, so I mean I don't. But
you'll have to leave early.
I'll probably have to leave early. Oh my god. Um. Well, I think that's it for this week.
Yep, that's all we got. So I guess we're shilling our stuff. We've got Twitter. Tom is on the Twitter. TJ Breen. I am on Twitter as XCornMuffinX. It's probably one of the worst ways to contact me, but you can. I'll see it eventually. We've got the blog also. If you are dying for more wrestling content, I think you need more wrestling content, so you should check out the blog, especially at closetofanxiety.tumblr.com, where all the best wrestling content on the internet is posted. And not even trans-specifically, just the best. Just hands down. There it is. I've said it. Best wrestling blog on the internet. closetofanxiety.tumblr.com. Fight me.
I'll take it.
um, you know.
I won't disagree.
What are the kids? Cash me outside though, or something.
Cash outside. How about that?
Yeah.
I had to listen to that like 50 times before I figured out what she was saying.
I've never actually seen it. I've seen memes.
Oh yeah. No, it's like, it's worth your time to just hear the clip. But yeah, so a lot of pictures on Closet of Anxiety, and I do reviews, and I'm going to start maybe not scanning, but photographing the more hilarious parts of all the old wrestling magazines I have, because I have a lot, and I was going to scan everything, and it just takes forever, and it's just like with an iPhone, it's just easy to like take a picture of like the funny caption underneath, like a bleeding Wahoo McDaniel or whatever. So I'm just going to do that. It's just easier, is what I'm saying. So yeah, so that's and don't forget our book. We wrote a book, well, 2/3 of a book, and it's called Three Moves of Doom, and it's horror stories about professional wrestling. How about that? The third person who wrote it is an actual horror author who sold lots of books. His name is Matthew Bartlett, and the his story has been nominated for awards. So read it, and if you read it, the book that is, and like it, then go ahead and leave a review on Amazon. That would help us out a lot.
That would help us a lot. Some brave people have bought our book, Three Moves of Doom, this month. So maybe it was one of you.
If it was one of you, thank you. You're in our gang.
You're in our gang. But also, if you have to leave a review on Amazon to be a full-fledged gang member.
That's right. That's the ceremony that makes you a made man when you leave the review. Like you're an associate member if you bought the book. You're in good standing. You can work in the neighborhood. But if you really want to be a solid made member of our gang, then you leave a review on Amazon. And then we will kill for you. Even if you don't want us to, it'll be like that Hitchcock movie, Strangers on a Train. You'll make an errant comment about someone in your life who's a pain in the ass, and then a week later they're dead. And you get like a message from us like saying, "Thanks, fellow gang member." That's how it happens. All right. Well, so thank you for listening this week, as always, and we'll be back next week. Hopefully, there will be some news in the world of wrestling. This week it was literally just CM Punk saying he's going to have another UFC fight. So hopefully someone will get sued.
There'll be more stabbings, whatever.
Yeah, maybe Joey Mercury will catch the guys who. No, it wasn't Joey Mercury. It was the guy who got stabbed in West Virginia.
The other guy that's not Joey Mercury.
And the other J&M security guy. God, I'm blanking on his name. Well, you know who I'm talking about. He got stabbed, now he wants revenge. Maybe he'll get revenge, and we'll talk about it. But anyway, thank you for listening this week. Take it easy.
See you guys next week.